होस्ट, ताकि वो बैठ के नहीं, क्योंकि आपको तो टॉक देना है ना, आप बैठकर ये कैसा करेंगे?
फिर स्लाइड्स कैसा करेंगे सर? इफ ही हैज गॉट स्लाइड्स ऑपरेट,
नहीं
स्लाइड्स प्रेजेंट कर देंगे, वो कोई मसला नहीं है।
नहीं, लेकिन कंसंट्रेशन आप अगर लोगों को एडमिट करते रहेंगे,
अगर मैं एडमिट करते रहूंगा तो मुझे प्रॉब्लम हो जाएगा।
हाँ, तो इसीलिए या तो सुभाष साहब या मुझे कंट्रोल दे दीजिए, हम लोग उसको उन लोगों को एडमिट करते रहेंगे।
तो इस मीट में पता है किसी को ऑप्शन कहाँ से है वो?
किस का सर?
सेटिंग्स में
वो जूम पे तो होता है सर, इस पे
हाँ, जूम पे तो होता है, लेकिन इस पे भी होगा, लेकिन एक मिनट देखते हैं। हाँ, होस्ट कंट्रोल एक आ तो रहा है ऑप्शन।
वालेकुम सलाम।
आज मैथ्स का है तो हम चाय वाय बना लेके बैठे सर।
अच्छा, ये देखिए मैंने ऑटोमेटिक एक ऑप्शन खोला तो है, शायद इससे ज्वाइन हो जाए।
ठीक है,
अभी कोई ज्वाइन करता है तो पता चल जाएगा।
जी जी,
ऑटोमेटिक है, इन लोग ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं ना ऑटोमेटिकली। अब्दुल रहीम,
हाँ, अब हो रहा है ना ऑटोमेटिक
जी। हाँ, तो चलिए, वेरी गुड।
people have already joined. Number.
तो shall we start with the permission of?
I just will introduce because we have our students here. Welcome to all. Today we are going to have second talk in this web series. Previously we had it botany. Better late than never. We had a very big gap, but still we got onto the track again. So I'll introduce today because we have both biology and then the life sciences and the physical science students joined with us. So today's talk is by Afroz, sir, Dr. Afroz Ahmad, who is head department mathematics. I hope that all life science students also will be able to get some mathematic related aspects today. I welcome all the students and to, even if you have any doubts or anything at the end of the lecture, feel free to ask. Let us have the interaction also. It's not just one-sided, just listening. Okay, at the end of the talk, you can have the question and answer session. Now, I request Dr. Afroz Ahmad take his, that is, start his lecture. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, madam. Thank you, Professor Parveen Jahan, Dean of the School of Sciences. This is a good platform of the web series where one can share his or her knowledge among other people also. The topic of my today's talk is wavelet theory and applications. Now I'm going to present. स्क्रीन शेयर हो रहा है?
हाँ, हो रहा।
ठीक।
स्क्रीन शेयर हो रहा है?
हो रहा है, ठीक है।
हो रहा है। Okay. The topic of my today's talk is wavelet theory and application. The contents of the talk are limitation of Fourier transform and short time Fourier transform, introduction of wavelet theory, after that wavelet transform, after that continuous wavelet transform, discrete wavelet transform, filter bank theory, types of wavelets, and after that wavelet applications. So first of all, I start from Fourier transform and its limitations. For continuous time signal, Fourier transform formula is minus infinity to plus infinity ft e raised to power minus j omega t dt, and for discrete time signal, f omega equal to summation minus infinity to plus infinity fn e raised to power minus j omega n. Basically, Fourier transform decomposes the signal ft in infinite number of sine and cosine waves, which are called harmonics. No means of identifying exactly where an event occurs. That means in Fourier spectrum, the time information is missing. The output is only a graph with which we obtained between the frequency and magnitude. So time information is missing. So we cannot tell whether certain event occurred at what time by observing our Fourier spectrum. So obviously Fourier spectrum has no information of time. So we cannot tell about some discontinuity or so burst available in that signal in time domain. So let's give an example here. This is an example of signal e raised to power minus t ut is given by, after taking its Fourier transform, its spectrum is like this, and its equation is 1 over under root 1 plus omega square, and this graph is between frequency and magnitude. Here you can see that the spectrum is between magnitude and frequency, and we cannot know anything, any time information from this plot. If something happens here, suppose there is a small discontinuity, suppose there is a small discontinuity here, so then at some time, then we cannot tell that at what time this discontinuity happened in Fourier transform after seeing this graph or after observing this spectrum. So there is the limitation. Let us understand the Fourier limitation by one more example. We have two types of signal. One is stationary signal and other non-stationary signal. In stationary signal, frequency components do not change in time. So all frequency components exist at all time, while in non-stationary signal, the frequency component changes in time. So one example is chirp signal. Hope you know what is chirp signal. Who has mathematics background or physics background, they know what is a chirp signal. It's a signal where frequency is continuously increasing. This is here we can see with this example. The first one is example of a stationary signal, which is obtained by adding 3 sinusoids of, as we can see here, 2 Hertz plus 10 Hertz plus 20 Hertz, and we can see its Fourier spectrum here. Here we get 3 spikes standing on. This is of 2 Hertz and this is 10 Hertz and 20 Hertz. So they clearly indicate the available frequency components available in the signal, and since frequency is not changing, all the frequencies are available all the time. That is why we say stationary signals. Now we see this example. This is non-stationary signal where frequency is not constant from 0.0 to 0.4 second. It's 2 Hertz. From 0.4 to 0.7, it's 10 Hertz, and there is a little interruption. And 0.7 to 1, it is 20 Hertz. It's 20 Hertz. So if we see its spectrum, there is no clear visible information of frequency content. So that is the problem of non-stationary signal. Now we see the limitation by this example. It is very clear. See, this is a chirp signal where is the frequency is continuously increasing this time, and its corresponding Fourier spectrum. If I reverse the signal here, I reverse the signal. The signal, that means the frequency is decreasing with time, and then I will get the same magnitude. If we see that this is the chirp signal, and after the Fourier spectrum is same, and if I reverse the signal again, I see that the Fourier spectrum is same. So by observing the spectrum, we cannot tell what happened in the time domain. So that is the main problem of Fourier transform. So at the same time, we can magnete the frequency and time information is not available in the Fourier spectrum. One earlier approach to deal or overcome this problem was STFT, short time Fourier transform, which was proposed by Denis Gabor in 1946. He actually analyzed the whole signal in the small section, as we can see here. Instead of a whole signal at once, it analyzed window of a signal. Here we can see that by taking this window, we analyzed window of a signal. Here signal is multiplied with the window function. Here we can see in this equation, this is window function, and then taking normal Fourier transform. So by doing this approach, we get this type of spectrum where we have time axis as well as we have frequency axis in the frequency axis, as well as we have frequency axis in the same graph, and the magnitude, of course, which is magnitude along the z-axis. Here is the z-axis, which is perpendicular to the screen. So in this spectrum, we have frequency as well as time and magnitude, all three in the there is an interruption. Sorry for this. We have frequency as well as time and magnitude, all three in the same graph. So we can tell what happened in a particular time window. But the problem is associated along with STFT is that once the window size, there is a drawback of STFT, means once the window size is chosen, it remains unchanged throughout the analysis of the signal. So we cannot change the window size. The main problem here is dilemma of resolution. Means if we choose a narrow window, obviously to capture something which is happening in a very small time, that means we will say it's a good time resolution, but at the same time we get a very flat response in frequency domain because of its poor frequency resolution. But if we choose a wide window, which is poor time resolution, at although you get a very good frequency resolution, but the problem is if we choose a wide window, then we will not be able to capture some small happening in the time domain. In the signal, we may miss it. So we can see the effect of the narrow window and wide window in the two figure as shown here. We can see this is a window size in time axis. You can see various window. In the first figure, we can see the various window. This is first 1, 2, 3, and 4. And see from the frequency side. If we see here, I written here frequency. If we see here from frequency side, we can see that we are getting two frequency components which are wider, means poor frequency resolution. But if I choose a wide window, that I get a very sharp see from time axis. In the second figure, we have taken a wide window, and if we see from the time axis side, we get a very sharp frequency response. But the problem is that information is overlapping, and we may miss some small happening in the time domain. So this is the main problem with the STFT. Now, to overcome this problem, come to the wavelet theory. A wavelet is a waveform of effectively limited duration that has an average value of 0. It is defined as psi ABT equal to 1 by root A psi t minus b by A, where AB belongs to R. Here A and B are called dilation or scale and translation or position parameters respectively. If we change the value of A, that means we can stretch the wavelet or compress the wavelet in size, and with the help of B, the wavelet will shift along the time axis. One example by wavelet is shown by the equation psi t equal to e raised to power j omega naught t into e raised to power minus t square by 2. It's a Morlet wavelet, and it's a complex wavelet, and real part of this window, this wavelet is shown in this figure. now a wavelet transform we can compare with the Fourier transform. The first figure in which we are showing Fourier transform for understanding that in Fourier transform, that is any signal in Fourier transform is expressed by its harmonic components, which are sine or cosine, that is infinite number of sine and cosine. So main constituent of the Fourier transform are sinusoids of different frequencies, as we can see in this figure. And in wavelet transform, the signal can be expressed by the wavelets of different scales and positions. So main constituent of wavelet transforms are wavelets of different scale and positions. So let us see the continuous wavelet transform. The continuous wavelet transform of a signal ft is then gives by the equation f psi ab equal to 1 by under root a integral minus infinity to plus infinity ft into psi t minus b by a dt. Here our signal ft multiplied by the wavelet, we can see here, this is the signal, and multiplied by the wavelet function psi t minus b by a, which has scale and position parameter a and b. As we can see here, this is a and this is b, scale and position parameter. This integral is computed for different values of a and b, and we can compress or stretch the wavelet with the help of parameter a, and we can slide the wavelet with the help of parameter b along time axis. So various values of a and b, we generate the number of wavelet coefficients, and when all are arranged, we get this type of spectrum, as we can see here in this figure, yellow figure. So various values of a and b, we generate the number of wavelet coefficients, and when all are arranged, we get this type of spectrum where one axis is the time axis, other axis is coefficient magnitude, and one axis is scale. That means actually if this graph initially at lower scale we get a very fast varying components, that means the higher frequency components are captured at higher scale and low frequency components are captured. So this we can understand with this example clearly. We can see that how all coefficients are arranged. So this is my spectrum. This is my spectrum where all wavelet coefficients are arranged. And in the first line, as we can see here, this is the first line C11 to C1n, and this is second line C21 to C2n, and this is third one C31 to Cn. And the first line is actually all the coefficient at scale 1. So in first line we say that all coefficients are at scale 1. That means C11 to Cn, and here all coefficients are arranged in scale 2, and in third line at scale 3. How scale 1 coefficients are calculated? So you can see in the first figure. This is the first figure, wavelet at scale 1. Wavelet at scale 1. Here we choose a wavelet is compressed. In the first figure, the wavelet is compressed, so it has high frequency. In this case, wavelet will capture all the high frequency components available in our signal. So with the help of parameter A, we compress the signal, and with the help of parameter B, the wavelet is slide along the time axis. We can slide this wavelet from all the time axis from here to here, and then integrate it. So so we get all coefficient of scale 1. So from figure 1, we will get all coefficient of scale 1. For scale 2, we choose A such that the wavelet is little bit stretched. We can see in the second figure, the wavelet is little bit stretched, so its frequency is reduced. So obviously, it will capture the low frequency detail, and then again it is scaled along the time axis and multiplied with the signal and integrated. So we get all those components, and at scale 3. It is further stretched and slide it along the time axis, so we get all the coefficient at scale 3. So this is how all the coefficients are arranged. And so this is the more detailed view of that wavelet spectrum here you can see that at lower scales, you can see that fine frequency details that we have. Since wavelet is compressed it as high frequency, so it is capturing the high frequency detail available in the signal, as we can see here at the lower scales. As you go to the higher scales, your wavelet is stressed, so it is captured the low frequency detail like this. So all coefficients are arranged, and this spectrum is known as scaleogram of wavelet transform. Now we come to the discrete wavelet transform. Discrete wavelet transform that A parameter and B parameter, a continuous parameter. So it is means that the wavelet huge amount of wavelet coefficient generated in the continuous case. To reduce the amount of wavelet, if we choose scale A and position parameter B as discrete, then obviously we will get the less amount of data. So this idea of choosing the discrete value of A and B parameter is implemented in two ways. One is called the redundant wavelet transform frame, or other is called known as orthonormal wavelets or multi-resolution analysis. So these are the two forms of discrete wavelet transform. So let's see each one by one. So this is the discrete wavelet transform frame or redundant wavelet transform. So here parameter A is chosen to be an integer power of one fixed dilation parameter A naught. So we have one A naught which is fixed value. So A is chosen like this. So A equal to A naught raised to power m. Here m is varied to achieve the wavelets of different widths. That means we can compress it and we can stretch it, and the translation parameter B is discretized by the formula B equal to n B naught A naught raised to power m, where B naught greater than 0 is fixed value of translation. This is done in such a way that the narrow wavelets are translated by the small steps, while the wider window wavelets are translated by larger steps. So in previous equation, we have seen that psi ABT equal to 1 by root A psi T minus B by A. AB belongs to real number. If we put the value of A and B in discretized manner, then the formula of discrete wavelet will be psi m and k equal to A naught raised to power m by 2 psi A naught raised to power minus m bracket k minus n B naught A naught raised to power m. Mn belongs to Z, and the integral formula will become the discrete formula, as we can see here. dWt mn equal to A naught raised to power m by 2 summation k equal to minus infinity to plus infinity fk psi A naught raised to power mk minus n naught B naught. So the signal fk is multiplied with the discrete wavelet function, and then sum over the interval from minus infinity to plus infinity. So that's why we can generate the discrete wavelet transform. The second is MRA, that means multi-resolution analysis, is more efficient and widely used. So in this case, the scale and position parameter, that is A and B, are chosen based on power of 2. So that's why it is known as the dyadic scales and position, and we do some sort of downsampling also to reduce the amount of data. So it is more efficient and accurate. It was developed by S. Mallet in 1988. So here if we choose in the previous case A naught equal to 2 and B naught equal to 1, then our wavelet discrete becomes psi mn k equal to 2 raised to power m by 2 psi bracket 2 raised to power minus mk minus n. Mn belongs to Z, and wavelet transform equation will be dWt mn equal to psi mn 2 raised to power m by 2 summation minus infinity to plus infinity fk into psi bracket 2 raised to power minus mk minus n. So this is the wavelet transform equation in which fk is multiplied with a discrete wavelet function and the sum over minus infinity to plus infinity. So this is equation of multi-resolution analysis. And with the help of MRA, we get this type of scaleogram. Obviously, we can see that see the discrete behavior of the coefficient at the lower scales when the wavelet is compressed compressed, so it is capturing the high frequency detail, and it grew up in the scales when wavelets expanded. It is capturing the low frequency detail. So we can compare this with our previous continuous wavelet transform scalogram. We can see this is a continuous wavelet scalogram, and this is looking very smooth, and this is discrete wavelet scalogram, and we can compare like this. Here we can see the smooth figure of a scalogram in case of continuous wavelet transform, but in this case, since the scale and position parameter are discrete, so we are getting this discrete view of scalogram. Now let us see the filter bank theory, that how we can compute the discrete wavelet transform with the help of FIR filter. This is very famous theory and widely used implementing our wavelet transform using hardware and software system. This theory was introduced by S. Mallet. In this case, what happens actually, suppose I have a signal S, as we can see here, this is our signal S, which has 1000 data points. By passing this signal through a high pass filter, and as in this figure you can see, this is high pass filter, and in the below this is low pass filter, and then resultant is downsample by 2. In this case, we'll generate all high frequency component which are known as detail coefficients. Detail coefficients, since we are downsampling by 2, that means following NIST criteria. So 1000 points are now converted into 500 coefficient. As we can see here, after applying filtering and downsampling, this 1000 points becomes 500 points after applying things, and these are the high frequency detail coefficients. Similarly, we pass this filter, this signal through a low pass filter, as we can see here, low pass filter, and downsampled by 2, we generate the 500 discrete wavelet coefficients which are of low frequency, and they are known as approximation coefficients. These filters are not normally selected filters. They are specially designed filter in such a way that when signal is converted with that time impulse response of these functions, we get the wavelet coefficients rather than the normal filtering. Discrete wavelet transform, multi-level decomposition. In the previous figure we have seen, in this figure only first level of decomposition, and in wavelet we have a multi-level decomposition. So if we want to decompose the signal further, the approximation coefficients are further decomposed. As we can see here, these are the approximation coefficients, and these can be further decomposed by the same manner and passing through the high pass filter, and we get detail coefficient, then passing through the low pass filter and we get the approximation coefficients, and we call them a detail and approximation coefficients set level 2. Then if we go further decomposition at 3 level, then we can decompose this approximation coefficient at level 3 level, and we can see like this. Here is the reconstruction of the signal, means inverse discrete wavelet transform. In the previous case, we decomposed the signal into detail coefficient and approximation coefficient. So we have 500 detail coefficients and 500 approximation coefficient, as we can see here. So by combining them with this scheme, we can get our signal as back. So first we have to upsampling by 2 and then passing through the reconstruction high pass filter and then reconstruction low pass filter, and adding them we get our 1000 points back by this reconstruction. So this is known as signal synthesis. Signal synthesis. The decomposition is known as signal analysis. this combined scheme, that is the signal S, is first decomposed into the detail coefficients and approximation coefficients, and by this scheme all these detail coefficients and approximation coefficients are combined and we get the signal back again. So this is known as the analysis part. The first one is known as analysis part and this one is known as synthesis part, and we get our signal back. And in this diagram of multi-level decomposition and reconstruction simultaneously. So the signal S is first decomposed and then it is approximation coefficients at level 1 and further decomposed. So we can have the multi-level decomposition at the same time we can have the multi-level reconstruction to achieve our signal. Here is the one example is showing that the signal S, which is sinusoid of sine wave and also noisy signal, it is first decomposed into the approximation coefficients. Actually, these are the approximation coefficients A1 and these are the decomposition detail coefficients D1 at level 1. This is at level 1. So the approximation coefficients are further decomposed at level 2, the CA2 and this is A2 and D2. The A2 and D2 are further decomposed in A3 and D3 at level 3. Here we can see that after 3 level of decomposition, here the noisy signal compared with the filtered signal, this is after 3 level of decomposition, this becomes the filtered signal and this is our noisy signal. Compared with the filter signal is almost filtered because all the high frequency components at each level are taken out. So the remaining approximation coefficients is actually a sine wave which is filtered form. Now these are the various types of wavelets. We have huge family of wavelets. The very primitive is the Haar wavelet, is very basic and find lots of application in the signal processing and image processing. And there is a Dobouchis families, DB families, simulets, couplets, biorthogonal wavelets, mere wavelets, discrete wavelets, and we have some complex wavelets also in the below we can see. And these actually are the abbreviations. These are the abbreviations which are used in MATLAB. These abbreviations to represent the wavelets. And these wavelets are arranged in this table based on their properties. So we have two tables. One is wavelet with filters and wavelet without filter. And again, we split in the 2 parts, with compact support and with non-compact support. Again, with the compact support divided into 2 parts, orthonormal and by orthonormal. In orthonormal, we have Dobouchis, Haar simulet, couplet, and by orthonormal. And these wavelets with filter with compact support, orthogonal, by orthogonal. With these are very useful in compression and denoising the signal. After that, now being beyond wavelets, so we have lots of wavelets, lots of advancement in the wavelets. We have advanced family of the fabulous wavelets, which is known as the curvelets, simulets, ridlets, contourlets, beamlets, and many more. So many advanced form of the wavelets are these to solve many problems of image and signal processing. Now let's see some application of wavelets in signal processing. The very important is the compression and the denoising, discontinuity detection, audio enhancement effect. So there are some major applications of wavelet signal processing. There are many more also. Here we can see one example of signal compression. So this is our original signal. This is our original signal. And these are the wavelet in the second figure. These are the wavelets real coefficients of this signal. So here we can see that very few coefficients are there which have some magnitudes. Otherwise, lots of the wavelet coefficients are very small and near to 0. As we can see in this figure, these coefficients are near to 0. So in discrete wavelet transform is commonly used for compression. Since most of the coefficients are very small, very small, hence can be zeroed out. So if we zeroed out, then obviously the signal size will be reduced. In the next figure, we can see this is our original signal, and this is the signal after applying wavelet discrete wavelet transform. So here we can see that and can compare. This is our original signal in the top and bottom. This is the compared. This is the compression signal, and the compression factor is 93.7. Compression we have achieved by zeroed out all those very small coefficients. So signal compression is very powerful strength of the wavelet theory. Now then comes to the signal denoising, again very important aspect of wavelet transform. Here you can see the two signal, the red and purple. The red is original signal and purple is denoise signal. Here we get the denoising again by the same principle as we applied in signal compression. Here the detail coefficients at each level are thresholded. For example, at this D1, these are the detail coefficient, and these are the threshold. We have applied threshold here. For example, at this level 1, at level 1 we have zeroed out various coefficients, and threshold is very high. You can see in the threshold limit, so all the coefficients lying in the threshold are neglected. And here at level 2, level 3, level 4 and level 5, so by cutting all the detail coefficients at different level, we can achieve the signal denoising or filtering. So this is a spectrum or scaleogram of our original signal, and below one is the scaleogram of filtered signal. So we can see that scale 1 and scale 2, lots of coefficients are cuts or neglected. And how to achieve this thresholded value? Actually, there are various algorithms available. In this example, we have used rigorous Shor method is used to estimate these threshold values. These are estimated threshold values applied to each level. Now this is the example of discontinuity detection. Here we can see that this is a sine wave. The first one is a sine wave. This time moment we can see here this time moment and this time moment. When there is some small discontinuity which is even not visible, but when we take the wavelet transform and we see this scaleogram in second figure scaleogram, we can easily see that these two discontinuities in the wavelet scaleogram. So we can know that at what time t we got these two discontinuities. If we compare this with the Fourier transform, this is not possible to find these time domain discontinuities in the spectrum. So that is the strength of wavelet transform. Now let us see some applications of wavelets in image processing. Obviously, the compression and denoising are the two main applications, and detection, image fusion, image enhancement, and etc. Now here we take an example. You can see here one example of image compression. The first one is the first figure is our original image of size 3 MB, which is size of 3 MB, and compare it by the third one. As we can see here, third one, which is ordinary JPEG. It is reduced to 90 KB. It is reduced from 3 MB to 19 KB. Only the huge reduction, but the problem in the JPEG is you can see that these artifacts or degradation and the quality in JPEG is not good by the ordinary transformation. But you can see the second JPEG image which is obtained by the discrete wavelet transform. Second one is obtained by applying discrete wavelet transform. It is also 19 KB. So that means this wavelet based compression and ordinary JPEG compression, which is based on the discrete cosine transform, we can compare both the qualities. Both are of the same size, 19K and 19K, but the quality of JPEG 2000, which is obtained by discrete wavelet transform, is much more better than the ordinary JPEG image. This is another example of fingerprint image compression. This is original. First one is the original, and this is compared image. You can see the visually both are the almost same, and the retained energy 99.995%. So this is another example, and this is the image corrupted by the noise, and second one is the output image, which is filtered or denoised by applying the wavelet discrete wavelet transform. And this one, in this figure we can see that there are the two photographs, this one and the second, both are corrupted at different region, but with the wavelet fusion we can reconstruct this image with, as we can show in the figure 3, the bloodness is removed. And there are many other wavelets, application of wavelets we can see in audio, image and video watermarking, feature extraction, image, face recognition, optical character recognition, image retrieval, data analysis and prediction, voice recognition, numerical analysis, and many more applications of wavelets. So this was the end of the lectures. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Thank you so much. We enjoyed your last slides.
Okay.
We wish that would have been the first slides.
Okay.
Those slides would have been the first slides.
Hello.
Yeah, मैडम डॉक्टर अफरोज साहब बहुत को बड़ा अच्छा लेक्चर रहा, but thing is that as you were saying that the wavelength transform has energized powerful time frequency analysis, इसमें थोड़ा सा application मुझे लगता है कि बायो सिग्नलिंग के बारे में होता तो और भी मजा आता बच्चों के लिए। मुझे लगता है स्पेशली बायोलॉजी स्टूडेंट, अब जैसा कि मैथमेटिक्स जो है स्पेशली मैं खुद भी समझता नहीं, बहुत मुश्किल हमारे पल्ले नहीं आ रहा था, फिर भी बहुत सारी चीजें जैसे कि वेवलेट्स इन मेडिकल इमेजिंग, मुझे लगता है कि बहुत, ये तो आपका बहुत अच्छे अंदाज में गया लेक्चर, बहुत बहुत मुबारक मैं बात पेश करना चाह रहा हूँ आपको। लेकिन इसमें थोड़ा सा इमेजिंग, जैसे कि हमारे बच्चे मेडिकल इमेजिंग के हैं, बायोसाइंस के भी हैं, उसमें मुझे लगता है कि वेवलेंथ इन मेडिकल इमेज प्रोसेसिंग, ऐसे जो ईसीजी जो सिग्नल्स हैं यूज इन द फील्ड ऑफ कार्डियोलॉजी है, तो इस पे थोड़ा सा ऐसा इंटर रिलेटेड करके और भी मुझे लगता है कि बच्चों के लिए और भी ज्यादा फायदा होगा। लेकिन ये आपका जो टॉपिक है बहुत ही उम्दा टॉपिक है वेवलेट के बारे में। मैं मोइन साहब की जुबान से, अलीम बादशाह की जुबान से जब भी रूम में आता हूँ वेवलेट थ्योरी, वेवलेट, ये अभी तो मुझे बेसिक समझ में तो आ गया है कि वेवलेट थ्योरी क्या है, वेवलेट क्या है, वो डिस्क्रिएट क्या होता है, जो भी है ये तमाम। खैर मैथमेटिक्स तो हम शुरू से बचपन से एक ऐसी बात सुनते थे कि देयर इज ए ही बिटवीन टू मैट्स, देयर इज ए ही बिटवीन टू मैट, MAT, हु इज नोन एज ICS, हु इज ही। तो एक क्वेश्चन किया करते थे बचपन में, मतलब कि बड़ा अच्छा सवाल कि देयर इज ए ही, HE, बिटवीन टू मैट्स, MAT, हु इज नोन एज ICS, हु इज ही, क्वेश्चन करते थे, तो आंसर मैथमेटिक्स। ऐसा जो है, खैर मुबारक हो आपको मैथमेटिक्स डिपार्टमेंट को। और वेवलेट का एप्लीकेशन मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा वाकई में अफरोज साहब। मुझे लगता है कि एक और
इसका एप्लीकेशन जो है ECG सिग्नल में भी है और EEG सिग्नल में भी है, तमाम एप्लीकेशंस है। तो इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में मैं मुझे।
हाँ एग्जैक्टली वही तो बोल रहा हूँ मैं, ये थोड़ा सा आप इस पे ध्यान दीजिए। इंशाल्लाह जब लेक्चर होगा कि मेडिकल इमेजिंग में, कार्डियोलॉजी में कैसा सिग्नलिंग जो भी है।
एक्चुअली दिस वाज द ये बेसिक लेक्चर था जिसमें वेवलेट थ्योरी को भी बताना भी जरूरी था कि वेवलेट थ्योरी क्या होता है और क्यों वेवलेट थ्योरी का यूज किया जाता है, तो इस वजह से ये हमने किया।
नहीं बहुत अच्छा, बहुत अच्छा, बहुत बहुत मुबारक आपको, और स्कूल ऑफ साइंसेस डीन मैडम को भी मुबारक, और डिपार्टमेंट के लिए भी बहुत बहुत मुबारक सर। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
अच्छा अफरोज साहब, ये हायर डायमेंशंस में भी देख सकते हैं क्या? वी कैन प्रॉब्लम, आई एम श्योर वी कैन कंस्ट्रक्ट इन हायर डायमेंशंस, और उसके फिर इश्यूज क्या आ सकते हैं इफ वी लुक इनटू फंक्शंस विद मोर डायमेंशंस? तो ये वेवलेट, राइट?
जी हाँ, हाई डायमेंशन में भी देख सकते हैं, लेकिन अभी हमने इसमें काम नहीं किया है, तो इंशाल्लाह इन फ्यूचर वी विल सी आल्सो इन हाई डायमेंशन।
आपका रिसर्च इज गोइंग ऑन रिलेटेड टू समथिंग दिस?
मेरा जो रिसर्च जो है इसी पे बेस्ड है। इसमें हम जो है मतलब मेरा जो खुद का रिसर्च था वो ईसीजी सिग्नल पे बेस्ड था, उसमें हमने वेवलेट ट्रांसफॉर्म उसमें लगाया था। नाउ अभी जो हम इसे जो रिसर्च कर रहे हैं उसमें इमेज प्रोसेसिंग में भी एक स्टूडेंट है, वो इमेज प्रोसेसिंग में भी कर रहे हैं, और नाउ अब खुद मतलब मैथमेटिक्स में हम न्यूमेरिकल एनालिसिस और डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशंस, तो उसमें भी वेवलेट का यूज हो रहा है, तो उसमें भी हम कर रहे हैं। तो डिफरेंट फील्ड में हम वेवलेट थ्योरी का इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं।
आप कंपेयर करके देखें कि फोरियर ट्रांसफॉर्म्स, जैसे इमेज प्रोसेसिंग में फोरियर ट्रांसफॉर्म्स भी इस्तेमाल करते हैं, राइट?
जी
और ये वेवलेट तो सेम इमेज करेक्शंस को using it, doing it in Fourier transforms and then doing it with these wavelet transforms, और फिर कितना फर्क आता है वो कर देखें क्या?
नहीं, अभी इमेज प्रोसेसिंग में तो नहीं किया, लेकिन हमने उसमें वेवलेट ईसीजी सिग्नल में करके देखा था, तो उसमें डिफरेंस आता है। वेवलेट जो है बेटर रिजल्ट देता है कंपेयर टू द फूरियर ट्रांसफॉर्म।
हाँ, नहीं तो कैसा, आई मीन व्हाट इज द क्वांटाइजेशन फैक्टर, क्या है? हाउ डू यू से दिस इज बेटर और दैट इज बेटर? किस, हाँ,
उसको जब हम कैलकुलेट करते हैं तो उसमें उसके डिफरेंट टाइप के जो कोएफिशिएंट्स कैलकुलेट करते हैं, तो और उसको मतलब फूरियर ट्रांसफॉर्म को अप्लाई करते हैं और वेवलेट ट्रांसफॉर्म को भी अप्लाई करते हैं। दोनों में जो है डिफरेंस जो कोएफिशिएंट्स का आता है और ग्राफ वगैरह जो बनाते हैं, वो वेवलेट से बेटर रिजल्ट आते हैं।
अच्छा,
तो अभी
ठीक है।
ठीक, ठीक है, थैंक यू। और किसी को कुछ पूछना है तो बोलिए।
Students?
सर कैन आई आस्क समथिंग?
जी,
सर क्या हम वेवलेट्स को समझ सकते हैं एज ए ट्रांसलेटर्स? जस्ट लाइक आपने कहा कि इमेज को हमने ट्रांसलेट किया बाय यूजिंग वेवलेट्स, जिससे हमें ये इमेज आई।
हाँ, ट्रांसलेट क्या, फिर से बताइए।
सर कैन वी से वेवलेट्स एज ए ट्रांसलेटर्स?
ट्रांसलेटर?
यस सर।
हाँ हाँ, मतलब मतलब ट्रांसफॉर्म करने से क्या होता है कि जैसे हमें एक कोएफिशिएंट जो है एक स्टेज पे ठीक से नहीं मिल पाता है, अगर उसको हम ट्रांसफॉर्म कर देते हैं तो वी कैन स्टडी बेटर, वो चीज करा जाता है इसमें।
ये कार्डियोवैस्कुलर डिजीजेस के क्या कुछ कैरेक्टराइजेशन भी क्या हो सकता है क्या मैडम? इसमें कुछ ऐसा कर सकते हैं क्या अफरोज साहब?
हाँ, ईसीजी सिग्नल की जो करेक्टरिस्टिक्स है उसको हम मतलब इसमें स्टडी कर सकते हैं। जैसे उसमें PQRS वेव्स होता है, डिफरेंट टाइप की वेव्स होते हैं, तो उस टाइप के करेक्टरिस्टिक्स को हम इसमें स्टडी कर सकते हैं और उससे रिजल्ट फाइंड आउट कर सकते हैं। और उसमें कुछ अगर जैसे नॉइज वगैरह ऐड हो जाते हैं तो उसको भी हम कुछ हद तक उसको क्लियर कर सकते हैं।
जी हाँ, जी हाँ।
एक्चुअली वेवलेट्स के बहुत से फील्ड्स में एप्लीकेशंस है मकबूल भाई, और ये
नहीं, बहुत
काफी
सही।
इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी के लिए अच्छा है, मतलब
हाँ, इंटरडिसिप्लिनेशन के लिए अच्छा है, बिल्कुल।
वाइड एप्लीकेशंस
वाइड एप्लीकेशन।
हाँ हाँ,
कुछ हमारे पास भी इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी रिसर्च कुछ चला तो अच्छा रहेगा।
हाँ बिल्कुल मैडम, आपकी तरफ से भी मतलब हम लोग देख सकते हैं उसमें क्या हो सकता है रिलेटेड टू अवर रिसर्च एंड योर रिसर्च।
ये कैंसर डायग्नोसिस में कुछ इस्तेमाल किया जा सकता है क्या, कैंसर डिटेक्शन के?
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल किया जा सकता है, लेकिन वो मतलब हमको भी देखना पड़ेगा कैसे उसमें कर सकते हैं। लेकिन उसमें है, मैंने पेपर्स देखे हैं तो उसमें कैंसर्स में भी वे कुछ वेवलेट्स का यूज किया जाता है उसकी स्टडी करने के लिए।
मुझे लगता है जगदीश चंद्र बोस, जेसी बोस जो प्लांट फिजियोलॉजिस्ट है, वो भी जो है इसी बेस पे जो है कुछ फिजियोलॉजी पे स्टडी करा है। तो मुझे लगता है, मैं भी डिटेल इतना नहीं जानता हूँ, लेकिन ये वेवलेट का जैसा आप बताने के बाद पता चल रहा है कि जैसा प्लांट्स में असेंट ऑफ सैप जो होता है मूवमेंट, उसके बेस पे जो है वेवलेट के बेस पे भी कुछ वर्क हुआ है ये।